Okay. Okay, almost all of you are here, right? Just give me a moment, I'll just share my screen and then we'll start. Right. Okay, guys, are you able to see my screen, right? Guys? Hello?
Yes, sir, able to see.
Okay, cool. So we have been seeing your different types of enthalpies, right? So we'll continue with it. So last class we started with this enthalpy of solution, right? So delta H solution. I told you it's a sum of two other enthalpies, right? Can you tell me what are the two enthalpies for enthalpy of solution? It is sum of what?
Lattice enthalpy and hydration.
Correct, right? So basically it is going to be equal to lattice enthalpy plus hydration, delta H hydration, right? Okay, so I told you that lattice enthalpy, basically I told you that whenever you want to form a solution, right? So before you form a solution, I'll have two types of interactions, right? That is my solute and solvent, right? So I have to break those things, and then you are going to form a new type of interaction, which is going to be between solute and solvent, right? So obviously I told you you're going to have some breaking of bonds happening and some making of bonds happening. So lattice enthalpy talks about a breaking of bonds, right? And hydration enthalpy is going to talk about the making of bonds, right? Okay, so we'll talk about hydration enthalpy first, right? And before that we'll talk about what exactly is hydration or solvation. Is it understood, right? So people, right, so we already talked about hydrogen bonding, right? It is very much similar to hydrogen bonding only, right? So for example, right, I have NaCl, right? So when I dissolve NaCl in aqueous solution, I know I'm going to form Na plus Cl minus, right? Okay. Now what is going to happen here is that the water molecules are going to surround these ions, right? How will they surround? Now, for example, if I take Na plus, right? So I have water molecules. Say I'm going to have H, okay, O, H, H, right? And obviously I know there is going to be partial charges on oxygen and hydrogen because they are a polar bond, right? So I'm going to have del negative for oxygen and del positive for hydrogen. So obviously you can have an interaction between your Na plus and the del negative of oxygen, or you can even say that there is going to be lone pair on oxygen. So there is going to be some interaction between the sodium positive and the lone pair on oxygen. So like this I can have so many water molecules surrounding, say here one oxygen, here one oxygen, here one oxygen, right? So this water molecule is going to surround the ions. Same goes with my Cl minus also. So if I take Cl minus, right, now what is going to have? I'm going to have H del positive, del positive, right? H del positive, right? Yeah. So H del positive, again, I can have an interaction between the chlorine and the del positive of hydrogen. So again, I'm going to have so many water molecules surrounding Cl minus also. Are you able to understand? So this phenomena, this entire phenomena of the water molecule surrounding the ions is what is called as hydration, or if it's going to be some other solvent, I'm going to just call it as solvation, right? So someone asks you what is hydration, how will you define it? Hydration is the phenomenon of water molecules surrounding the or crowding the ions, as simple as that, right? So obviously you can see that there is temporary bonds just getting formed here. You can have temporary interactions getting formed here. So you can see all these places, right? So obviously energy is going to get released. Okay, because of these interactions, energy is going to get released. So always and always hydration enthalpy will always be a negative value, right? Now already I told you about certain things regarding enthalpies, right? So whenever you have an exothermic chemical reaction, delta H will be negative, right? And whenever you have an endothermic, that is whenever you're going to supply energy, at that position it is going to be a positive value. Okay, so hydration enthalpy will always be a negative value. And obviously lattice enthalpy, you are trying to break some bonds, right? So that is obviously going to be called as, that is going to be a positive value. Lattice enthalpy will always be a positive value, and hydration enthalpy will always be a negative value, because one involves in breaking of bonds and the other involves in making of bonds, right? So everybody understood what exactly is going to be my hydration. Okay, any questions, people? What about what is hydration and how is it getting formed? Any questions? Okay, I hope not. Cool, right? So we'll talk about lattice enthalpy now, right? Okay, before this, there is a even though we understood so what is hydration, we'll try to define what is my hydration enthalpy. Please take down the definition for hydration enthalpy, people. I'm going to give you the definition for hydration enthalpy. Please take down the definition. Okay, hope you're ready. It is the enthalpy change occurring. It is the enthalpy change occurring when one mole of an anhydrous substance, when 1 mole of an anhydrous substance gets hydrated. When 1 mole of an anhydrous substance gets hydrated, right? So I think the statement was self-explanatory, right? So you obviously are going to have an anhydrous compound or an anhydrous substance. What do you mean by anhydrous, people?
Non-hydrous.
What do you mean by, sorry?
Non-hydration.
No. If I say something is anhydrous, that means what?
It has no water content.
Correct. There's no moisture, right? That is going to be a very dry substance which doesn't have any water content in it. Okay. So whenever I say anhydrous, that means there is no moisture or there is no water content in that particular compound. Okay. So now, since we now saw the definition, so basically what is going to happen? I have an anhydrous substance and it is going to get hydrated. Right? That means I'm going to add water molecules to that. As simple as that. Now, how will I write a reaction for this is the next question, isn't it? Right. So we'll take a next page and I'll try to explain you that. Right. Okay. So for example, people, right. So if I say hydration enthalpy, hydration enthalpy of CuSO4 is some X. Okay, is some X kilojoules per mole. If I say that, right? Okay, so how am I going to write the reaction? This is how I'm going to write the reaction. So we have to make sure that there is 1 mole of CuSO4 in the anhydrous state, isn't it? Right? So now it is going to get hydrated. So obviously, I don't know whether you know this. If you have anhydrous CuSO4, you must have done this in your labs, in the chemistry labs. If not, you will do it. Don't worry, right? So CuSO4, if you have anhydrous substance, that is, if there is no water molecule, can you tell me what is the color of CuSO4?
White color.
Correct, right? So CuSO4, if it is anhydrous, will be white in color, right? But if I add enough number of water molecules, so generally it will be 5 moles of water, I know it is going to form CuSO4 dot 5H2O, right? Now, can you tell me what is the color of this compound? The product?
Blue.
Blue, sir.
Exactly. Yes, right? So I'm going to have blue color for hydrated copper sulfate. This is my hydrated copper sulfate. This is my anhydrous copper sulfate, right? So this is the, so obviously for this reaction, whatever the enthalpy change is what is given as here X, right? So CuSO4 anhydrous substance, adding water molecule, right? So that it is getting hydrated and the enthalpy change is what is X. So this is how you write the reaction for hydration enthalpy, right? Now people, what is this 5H2O called as in general terms in chemistry? Dot 5H2O or dot 2H2O, something like that. If I write, there is a special name for that. What is
Water
it?
crystallization.
Correct, right? So it's called water of crystallization. I'm not going to write it fully, just writing. Right? It's called water of crystallization. Okay. Now, when you go to your 12th class, you'll actually understand how exactly is the structure of this molecule. There's something called as coordination compounds, right? So it's actually a coordination compound. Anyways, you don't have to worry about it. You will study about this when you go to 12th class, right? You will be studying about the structure of this particular molecule, not only this molecule, any coordination compound for that matter, right? So anyways, so this is what is about your hydration enthalpy. Okay, right? Fine. So that is done. Next thing is about the lattice enthalpy. Okay, now lattice enthalpy, as I told you, right? So is going to involve in breaking of bonds, isn't it? Now, for example, if I say lattice enthalpy, like I'll just write it as Le, right? So lattice enthalpy of, so for example, NaCl crystal. See, please understand, people. You have to like remember certain things about lattice enthalpy. Lattice enthalpy is applicable only for crystals, right? So lattice enthalpy is applicable only for crystals. There is no, you cannot speak about lattice enthalpy for water or say liquids or gases or something. Even in, not for all solids, only for crystalline solids, right? The lattice enthalpy is applicable. Okay, so basically when I say lattice, people, right? So lattice basically talks, that means the crystal structure. Crystal, oh my god. Okay, anyways, so lattice enthalpy talks about, I mean, it's not talks about, lattice means the crystal structure. Okay, so okay, you again, there is a chapter called as solid state in your 12th class. So at that time we'll be studying in depth about what are the different types of lattices, what are the different types of crystal structures possible for all crystalline compounds. But for now, we just have to understand that lattice means the crystal structure, right? So lattice enthalpy means the energy required to break the crystal structure or energy required to break the lattice. As simple as that. Is it understood? Right? So we'll, okay. So if how do you write the chemical reaction for this? See that, right? So for example, if I say lattice, right? So lattice enthalpy of NaCl is some X, right? Now, how will I write the equation? It's very, very simple, right? So people, I have sodium chloride. It should be in solid state, obviously, because we're talking about crystals, right? So sodium chloride in solid state, if I supply some energy, right, it is going to form Na plus Cl minus, and obviously this is going to be, okay, this what will be the state of Na plus and Cl minus? Okay, fine. Anyways, so this is what is, okay, the state doesn't matter, people. The state of Na plus and Cl minus doesn't matter, right? So you have to break the lattice and you are going to form Na plus and Cl minus, and the delta H for this reaction is what is X. As simple as that. You're going to break the lattice and you are going to form the ions. Okay, but there are certain complications with respect to your lattice enthalpy. You will not be able to directly find out the lattice enthalpy because it involves a lot of processes. Okay, so however, and see, sometimes what they do is, how to put it, I can even write the reaction in the opposite way. NaCl plus Cl minus forms sodium chloride crystal. So that is also sometimes they will regard lattice enthalpy as the energy required or energy released when the lattice is formed. Okay, so lattice enthalpy can be regarded in two ways. First way is about breaking the lattice, how much energy is required, or when the lattice is formed, how much energy is released. Okay, so what you will understand from this is that, how to put it, you will see that in both the cases, that is where either you're going to break the lattice or you're going to make the lattice, the magnitude of energy is going to be same. Means, for example, if it is going to be some 20 kilojoules per mole, right? So hey, for example, for breaking of the bonds, for you're going to break the lattice, that may be plus 20, right? And when you make the lattice, that is going to be say minus 20, right? So overall the magnitude is same, but with respect to how you are going to talk about it, whether you're going to speak in terms of breaking of the lattice, excuse me, right? So whether you're going to speak in terms of breaking of the lattice or whether you're going to speak in terms of making of the lattice, right? The sign will change, obviously. Okay. So anyways, as I told you, you will not be able to directly find out the lattice enthalpy because there are a lot of other phenomena which are involved here for breaking the lattice or say to make the lattice, whatever it is. Okay. So you'll not be able to directly find it out. But there was one scientist, okay, so who helped us find out the lattice enthalpy of this crystal structures. Okay, so his name was Born Haber, or actually there are two scientists. One is your Born, the other one is your Haber. Okay, so these people gave us an idea, right? Gave us a method for finding the lattice enthalpy. Okay, so this I'm going to see something called as Born-Haber's cycle. Okay, so this Born-Haber cycle will be this is going to help me, right, find out the lattice enthalpy of all the crystal structures. Okay, so we'll take an example, right, and we'll see what happens there. Okay, and you are going to, it's pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward, people. You don't have to worry about how they're going to find it and stuff. It's pretty much straightforward. Okay, so fine, let me wrap this part, or I might even take a new page because this will not be sufficient. Okay, so let me take the example of NaCl, and we'll take some other examples, MgCl2, something like that we'll take, but for a simpler example, we'll take NaCl. Okay, fine. So now, people, we are going to speak about lattice enthalpy in terms of making the lattice. The lattice is getting formed. The crystal structure is getting formed. With respect to that, we'll speak. Okay, fine. So now there are a lot of process involved, isn't it? Say, for example, now you tell me sodium element, right? In your free state, in your natural state, what is the phase of sodium? You must have seen sodium in labs, right? What phase it is in?
Solid state.
Solid state, right? So obviously I have sodium in solid state. No issues, right? Now the next question is, can not only this, can solids form ions? What I'm asking is, can I form Na plus in solid state? Is that's what I'm asking. This is possible.
It's possible, no, sir.
Okay. So how many of you feel it is possible? Let me take a vote. 1 second. I'll come back to the, where are my students? Here are they. Okay. Uh, yes. So how many of you say It's going to be, it is possible. That is, in solid state, ions can be formed. How many of you say? Just we'll take a vote. You don't have to know the answer. Just I'm just asking. Okay, just give me a vote. Okay, we'll take first the vote for how many of you say it's possible. It's just a vote, people. You can open your mouth and say it. Not a big deal.
I think it's possible, sir.
Okay. You already gave your vote. How about others? Vadarini, Pranav, Rahul, Anisha.
Not possible.
Okay, Rahul says not possible. There is one more vote for not possible. So we have a tie. Anybody wants to support Rahul or Abhishek? Or Rohan? There's a chat, I guess. Who's this? Abhishek says not possible. Okay, because of no free movement of ions. Okay, we'll come back to the reason later. Okay, so there are 2 votes for not possible and there's 1 vote for possible. How about others? Come on, people, bring it on. Okay, Pranav says not possible. There are 3 votes, 3:1. Okay, next. I want everybody to participate. Yes, Bhavadarani. Okay, Vanisha says possible. Now it's 3:2. Okay. Bhavadarani, I think you're trying to speak, but I'm not able to hear what. Yes.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you're audible, Kanna. Yes.
Sir, can you please tell me the question again, sir?
Nothing. So we said, if you go back to this, where is it? Yeah. So I'm asking whether this particular thing, are you able to see my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
You're not able to see my screen?
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
Okay. Again, something happened. Where's my OneNote? One second, Kanna. So yeah. So I'm asking whether this particular thing is possible. Like in solid state, can ions be formed is the question. Just a guess.
I don't think so, sir.
Okay, so again, it's 4:2. Okay, so I think there are still more people. Open your mouths, please.
Sir, I think solids can be ions. I don't know, sir.
Okay, so it's 4:3. What about Surya? Okay, fine. So I think we'll not be wasting time here, right? So people, the majority of the people, that is there, I have 4:3, right? So majority of the people gave me the correct answer. That means it is not possible. Okay. So if you didn't know, you can know it now. Not a big deal at all, right? So please understand, ions can be formed only in 2 phases. One in gaseous phase, for sure. Right? Ions can be formed in gaseous phase. Or what is the other phase?
Liquid phase.
You should not say liquid phase.
Aqueous, sir.
Correct. Aqueous phase. Right? So only in these 2 states, people, right, ions are possible. Okay, in gaseous phase or an aqueous phase, only ions are possible. So this is absolutely not possible. In solid state, you cannot form ions. Okay, so now obviously the first step itself is wrong, right? So let me wrap this off. Right. So now how should I make it there? This is the next. Okay, this also I'll round it off. Okay. So obviously now that we understood that sodium is going to exist in solid state, right? But it cannot form Na plus ion, obviously. So what I have to do is I have to make sure that this sodium goes to gaseous state, and then obviously it can form the ion. That is how it is. See, if you can remember your ionization, we saw periodic table, right? So in the periodic table, I don't know whether you remember it. When I gave you the definition for ionization enthalpy, right? IE, right? I told you it is the energy required to take out the electron, valence electron from a gaseous atom, right? That was mentioned there. Okay, it is the energy required to take one valence electron from a gaseous isolated atom. And I say isolated, that means only one atom is there. Okay, so anyways, so from gaseous forms only you will be able to take the electron. Basically, you're going to form ions. Okay, fine, people. Now tell me, for this particular process, for this particular reaction which I wrote here, sodium solid to sodium gas, what do you think is the enthalpy I must write? There will be some enthalpy associated with this particular thing which I wrote here, right? What is the enthalpy?
Like a value, sir.
No, not the value. What is the name? How, obviously, how will you know the value? Sodium solid to sodium gas. What is the name of the enthalpy? Solid
It's
to gas.
ionization, sir.
Ionization. How is it ionization? Am I forming Na plus here? It is still only sodium. It's still in the elemental form, but in gaseous state. That's it. So solid to gas, what is the process called as? In general, forget about this. When I convert a solid to a gas directly.
Sublimation, sir.
Okay. So what is the enthalpy called here?
Enthalpy of sublimation.
Exactly, right? So here the enthalpy, this thing is going to be enthalpy of sublimation. Okay, so the first step is that I have to convert sodium solid to sodium gas, and obviously the enthalpy associated with this is going to be enthalpy of sublimation. Cool, right? Now what is the next step? Now I can form the ions, isn't it? Now the sodium is in my favorable state to form the ion. Sodium is in gaseous state. Now this sodium can form Na plus in gaseous state. Right now, tell me, what is the, for this process, what is the enthalpy associated with this?
This ionization, sir.
Exactly, right? This is my ionization enthalpy. Oh, sorry, I wrote it as solid. It's not solid. I'm sorry. This is gas. Okay. So obviously, Na is becoming Na plus by removing an electron, obviously. Right. So what is this thing here? Ionization energy, or ionization enthalpy, however you want to call it, right? Fine. Now the sodium is done. Okay, right? Next, what I have to do is I have to go for chlorine. Now chlorine, I know how it will exist in natural state. Chlorine will exist in the form of Cl2. Correct, right? Now what I need is my Cl minus. Obviously, if I want to form the crystal, right? If I want to form the crystal, obviously I need to have Cl minus to be present. Okay, so what is the first step, do you think, for this chlorine to end up in Cl minus? Okay, that is the last step, obviously. Now what is the first step? What do you think is going to happen? It can be a guess.
Lose one atom, sir.
Sorry.
Will it lose an atom? Cl2 will become only Cl.
Correct. So basically, okay, obviously, right? So now please understand, people. Again, molecules, right, cannot form ions. Atoms, yes, can form ions. And you can ask me, sir, there are polyatomic ions. That is different. Polyatomic ions are formed from the crystals, from the salts. For example, if I have sodium phosphate, right, at that time I can have Na plus and PO4 3 minus. That is different, right? But if at all you're talking about making, like exactly, you are going to form an ion, right? So definitely H2 or Cl2 or O2 cannot directly form the ions, right? So obviously what I have to do is I have to convert the obviously this is in gaseous form, right? Cl2, I know the natural form is a gas. Chlorine is a gas, right? So obviously I have to convert this chlorine into 2 chlorine atoms. Done? Okay. Now tell me, what is the enthalpy associated here? For this process, Cl2 to to 2 Cl atoms, what is the enthalpy associated?
Atomization.
What is it?
Atomization.
Good, right? It is going to be my enthalpy of atomization, or what is the other name? What is the other name for enthalpy of atomization?
Bond enthalpy, sir.
Correct, right? So anyways, now in this case, obviously you're having a Cl bond, and that is getting broken to form 2 chlorine atoms. So obviously I can even write bond enthalpy, or I can write this thing. What is that? Enthalpy of atomization. Both are correct. So let me write bond enthalpy. I'm little comfortable with that, right? So the enthalpy associated here is going to be my bond enthalpy. Is it okay? Right. Now, people, now what I want, okay, that's it, right? This is also in gaseous form. So now the element is in my favorable phase, that is in gaseous phase, and it can form Cl minus, isn't it? Now what you have to understand is, I have 2 chlorine atoms, but I have only 1 Cl minus required. Okay, we'll come to that later. Now tell me, wait 1 second. Right, so this is basically going to form Cl minus. We'll talk about the number later. Now tell me, Cl is going to form Cl minus. What do you think is the enthalpy associated here?
Ionization, sir.
If it's ionization, I remove electron. For adding electron, obviously chlorine is going to get 1 electron added, and then it is going to form Cl minus, right?
Yes, sir.
So what is the enthalpy? For removing electron, it is ionization enthalpy. For addition of electron, what is it? If I tell you the answer, you will again, correct, sir.
Electron gain enthalpy.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yes, that's the answer. So it is going to be electron gain enthalpy, obviously. EGE. Now, when I write EGE, people don't get confused. It is going to be electron gain enthalpy. Okay, this is my ionization enthalpy for removal of electron. This is my electron gain enthalpy for addition of electron to the element to form the anion. Okay, now coming back to the number. Okay, so please understand, people, all the enthalpies. Now, I think you must have observed till now, all the enthalpies, we define it in terms of joules per mole. Okay, joules per mole or kilojoules per mole. Okay, but what you have here is basically what is it? 2 chlorine atoms are there, right? But I require only 1 of the chlorine atom. Yes. Okay, so what I have to understand is, I don't have to supply the entire electron gain enthalpy. I have to supply only half the electron gain enthalpy value. Is it understood? Why am I supplying only half? It's because I require only one chlorine ion. Only 1 Cl minus is required, but I have 2 chlorine atoms present, right? But out of that, only 1 is required. So instead of supplying the entire electron gain enthalpy, I will supply only half the value. Does that make sense? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So again, I'll repeat, why am I supplying only half the electron gain enthalpy, people? See, I have 2 chlorine atoms formed from the atomization. From here, I have 2 chlorine atoms formed. Okay, now I require only 1 of the Cl minus, because I know the stoichiometric ratio between Na plus and Cl minus is 1:1. I require 1 Na plus and 1 Cl minus. Correct. So if I supply entire electron gain enthalpy, I will be ending up with 2 Cl minus, which I don't want. It is not required, right? Out of this, only 1 is required. So what I do is basically I require only half the value, 1/2 into the electron gain enthalpy. Okay, I think everybody understood, right? So I require only half the electron gain enthalpy to form 1 Cl minus, obviously in gaseous state. Okay, right. Now, that is done. right? I have formed the favorable ions, Na plus and Cl minus are getting formed. Now what are you going to do? You are going to add these two, that is you are going to add these two, Na plus and Cl minus, to form your NaCl in solid form. Obviously, when Na plus and Cl minus combines, they will eventually form the NaCl crystal in solid form, right? Obviously, now you are going to make a bond here, right? You are forming the crystal. So what is the enthalpy associated here? Tell me. You are making the crystal from the ions. What is the enthalpy associated?
Lattice enthalpy, sir.
Exactly, right? So this is my lattice enthalpy. Okay, right. Fine. So all these things are already done. Again, I'll give you a simple overview of whatever we saw now, right? So coming back to sodium, sodium will be available in solid state. As I told you, solids cannot be forming ions. So I need gaseous form or the aqueous form for me to do that. So I convert first sodium to sodium gas, right? So for that, the enthalpy associated here is going to be my enthalpy of sublimation. Okay. Now sodium gas now is going to form Na plus, and obviously the enthalpy associated is going to be my what is it? Ionization enthalpy, and an electron is removed. Obviously. Now that's it. Sodium is done. Now when I come back to chlorine, chlorine will be in molecular form, that is in form of Cl2, gaseous state. And obviously molecules cannot form ions, only atoms can form ions. So first of all, I have to make sure that the bond is broken, or say I convert the molecule into atoms. So it is going to be the enthalpy of atomization or your bond enthalpy to form two chlorine atoms, right? So don't get confused with this plus. It's just the plus electron which I'm adding. Okay, so this is my chlorine atom. And obviously now the chlorine atoms can form the ions. So basically this Cl is going to form Cl minus, right? So obviously the enthalpy associated is going to be my electron gain enthalpy. But you have to be very careful here. I have two Cl minus, two chlorine atoms, but I have only one Cl minus required. So instead of supplying the entire electron gain enthalpy, only half is required. So you form 1 mole of Cl minus. Okay, so now that's it. Now Na plus is formed, Cl minus is formed. They're going to form the crystal of NaCl solid, right? Obviously, some energy is going to get released, and the enthalpy associated here, just what I told you, it is either lattice enthalpy. You can speak in either in terms of making the crystal or breaking the crystal. Now we are speaking in terms of making the crystal. So obviously, the energy released is going to be my lattice enthalpy. Okay. Now people, this entire whatever the chart or whatever the diagram, whatever the thing I have drawn here is what is called as your Born-Haber's cycle. Okay, this, you can see, right? It's a cycle. Obviously, if you start with Na solid, you start with chlorine gas and you end up with sodium chloride solid crystal. Right. So this entire thing is what is called as your Born-Haber's cycle. Okay, now why did we start all this? Okay, why did we start all this? Is because we want to find the lattice enthalpy. We basically want to find this value. Okay, now you can ask me, sir, how am I going to find it? It's pretty simple, people. Now what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to use my law of conservation of energy, right? What I'm trying to tell you is that whatever the energy is supplied, right, wherever you supplied energy, right, that total supplied energy should be equal to the energy released. Okay, let me write that. Energy supplied, that is you supplied, should be equal to energy released. Okay, so this is what you have to understand first. Okay, so in all the whole process, right, the energy supplied should be equal to the energy released. Okay, now let me ask you, now tell me, enthalpy of sublimation, is it released or you are supplying it? Tell me. Right.
You are supplying it, sir.
We are supplying it, obviously, right? Whenever you are heating it, right? When you heat sodium, only then I'll be able to convert sodium solid into gaseous form. So definitely enthalpy of sublimation is supplied. I'll just write a S there. Okay, right. Now what about ionization enthalpy here? Is it supplied or released?
Released.
Sorry? Release that. Oh my God. How is it released, people? You are taking out an electron against the force of attraction of the nucleus. This electron which I have here is going to be strongly attracted by the nucleus. And obviously you have to supply energy to remove the electron. Is it not? Right? So how do we say that? It is the energy required. How do you define ionization enthalpy? It is the energy required to remove an electron, isn't it? So definitely ionization enthalpy is also supplied. Okay, what about bond enthalpy? Supplied or released? I don't think you have to think this much. You are breaking a bond, supplied or released?
It's supplied, sir.
Obviously, right? So energy is supplied. Bond enthalpy or enthalpy of atomization is always going to be a positive value. That means it is supplied. Okay, what about electron gain enthalpy?
This is also supplied, sir.
Okay, now this might be a little confusing, electron gain enthalpy. Now please understand, people, whenever you have non-metals like chlorine, fluorine, iodine, oxygen, nitrogen, all these things, right, they will have basically the electron gain enthalpy will be negative, because when they form chlorine atom 2Cl minus, they are getting stabilized. Is it not? So if you can remember, how did we define electron gain enthalpy? It is the energy released, right? It is the energy released when an electron is added to the valence shell of a gaseous atom. Okay, so please remember this, right? So electron gain enthalpy, when I talk about non-metals like chlorine, fluorine, iodine, oxygen and all that, they will always be a negative value, because energy is released when the ion is formed. So this is my released. Okay, so electron gain enthalpy is released. Okay, hope it makes sense, right? Because it is becoming stable, right? So when something becomes stable, obviously it has to release energy. Why? Because if high energy means less stability, more stability means lesser energy. So if at all I need to gain stability, obviously I have to lose energy. Is it not? So definitely electron gain enthalpy value will be a negative value. If you can remember, you would have seen a lot of times electron gain enthalpy would be a negative value, even when we did some problems in periodic table. Okay, so this, okay, coming to last one, lattice enthalpy, released or supplied here. Right. Yeah, so lattice enthalpy, released or supplied? You don't have to think this much.
So here it is for the making the
exactly, formation of the crystal. Yes. So it is going to be
supplied, sir.
It is formation of the crystal. You're not breaking the crystal. It is formation of the crystal. So definitely it is going to be released, people. Okay. So this you are doing it for the first time, right? So you might find it a little difficult. But if you apply your logics, right? If you apply your logic, you can easily understand why certain things are supplied, why certain things are released. Okay, so coming back again, I'll give you the overall view of why certain things are supplied, why certain things are energy released. So enthalpy of sublimation, you are converting sodium gas to sodium solid to sodium gas. Obviously, you have to heat it. So definitely it is going to be supplied. Right. Again, ionization enthalpy, you are removing the electron against the force of attraction of the nucleus. So definitely supplied. Right. And obviously we are in case of this, right, you are supplying the energy to break the bond. Whenever you want to break the bond, energy has to be supplied. So definitely this is also understood, right? And for electron gain enthalpy, whenever you have non-metals, especially like chlorine, fluorine and all that, energy will be released whenever you are going to add an electron to the nucleus, right? So that is released. And lastly, coming back to lattice enthalpy, you are making the crystal, Na plus and Cl minus are coming together to make a bond, right? You're making a bond or making the crystal. So definitely lattice enthalpy is also released. Okay, so I want everybody to give me a yes if you understood. If not, you ask me again, I'll explain again. Everybody understood? Yeah. Yeah.
But for the formation, we have to supply energy, no, sir, for lattice enthalpy.
Why you have to supply energy for formation? It's like this, right? Na, I have Na plus ion, right? And I have Cl minus ion. They are separate now. Now they are going to come together to make a bond. An ionic bond is formed, isn't it? Now this is bond formation. So obviously, whenever you have bond getting formed, energy is released. Yes.
Okay, sir.
Okay, fine. Everybody, I want to give you yes if you understood. Everybody understood?
Understood, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
fine. Cool. Right. So everybody understood why certain energies are supplied, why certain energies are released. And in the Born-Haber cycle, what you have to make sure is the total energy supplied is equal to the total energy released. Okay, so what I have to do, I just have to put one side all the energy supplied and put one side all the energies released. Okay, that will do. Okay, so you can also do it. I'll also do it. Right, let me make a new page. Okay, so what are we doing here? So if you can remember, the first energy we supplied, okay, we'll put all the energy supplied in one side, all the energy released in another side. What is the time? We have time. Okay, so all the energy supplied in one side, all the energy released in another side. So if I put that, enthalpy of sublimation of sodium came in one side, that is energy supplied. Next was your ionization enthalpy. Yes. Oh. See, I did a small mistake going back to the previous one. This one only, right? What happened? Where is that page? There is one page missing. Oh God, fine. I'll tell you what is the mistake I done, people. 1 second, just give me a moment. I'll tell you the mistake which I have done. Oh wait, it came, I guess. No. Oh God. Fine. Right. So I'll tell you what is the mistake I did. Okay. So we'll come back to this later. Okay. So the mistake I did is about regarding chlorine. Okay. So basically I had chlorine gas, right? Now chlorine gas was forming Cl atoms. Okay. Cl in gaseous phase. Okay. Now what did I tell you? I told you that here I'm going to form 2 Cl minus, and that is going to form 1 Cl minus, right? So I told you that I have to supply half the electron gain enthalpy here, right? Now this is wrong, people, right? Now the half should not come here, right? Now this doesn't make sense at all, right? I have 2 chlorine atoms. Basically, electron gain enthalpy is defined only for 1 chlorine atom. So this really doesn't make sense. This is something wrong here. So how should I put it? So we'll talk about chlorine alone one more time, people. I'm really sorry. This is a small mistake I did. Okay. Okay, fine. Now, okay. Now I understand that. Okay, I hope all of you are seeing. Okay, so what I'm telling is I have Cl2 chlorine gases there. Right now, I'm going to have Cl minus getting formed at the end of this process. Cl chlorine minus gas. Okay, right now you can understand that I require only 1 mole of Cl minus, or I require only 1 Cl minus, right? But what I have here is 2 chlorines, correct? So when you supply bond enthalpy, full bond enthalpy, you will be ending up with 2 chlorine atoms, which is not required. Okay, I require only 1 chlorine atom. Okay, so what I need, if I supply the entire bond, again, bond enthalpy is defined for 1 mole of Cl2. That is okay, right? So for 1 mole of Cl2, if I supply the bond energy, I'll be getting 2 chlorine atoms, right? But I require only 1 chlorine atom. So instead of supplying the whole bond enthalpy, you will be supplying only half the bond enthalpy, so that I will be forming only 1 Cl atom. This is the mistake we did. Okay, I'll repeat again. So bond enthalpy, how do I define it? And it is the enthalpy change occurring when 1 mole of a compound gets converted into its atoms. So I have 1 mole of the compound here. Sorry, I have 1 mole of the compound here, or compound of the molecule here, that is Cl2, right? So for that to convert into 2Cl, I require the whole bond enthalpy, right? Oh, sorry, I require the whole bond enthalpy, right? But what I need is only 1 chlorine atom, right? That means I should have only half here. So what should I do is, I don't have to have the full bond enthalpy. I require only half the bond enthalpy, so that only 1 chlorine atom is formed. Okay, and here obviously you have to supply the entire electron gain enthalpy, so that 1 chlorine atom gets converted to 1 Cl minus ion. Okay, this is a mistake we did. Hope everybody understood. Please give me a yes, people.
Yes, sir.
Others?
Yes.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Okay, right? So this is the small mistake. Instead of putting half here, I put the half here. I'm really sorry. So this is the correct way of doing it. Okay, I require only 1 chlorine atom from the Cl2, so I require only half the bond enthalpy. Okay, now all the other things are okay. Fine. So now we'll go back to your Born-Haber cycle. We'll put all the energy supplied in one side and all the energy released on another side. Cool. Right. So first of all, I had your enthalpy of sublimation in one, obviously energy supplied, and I had the ionization energy for your sodium, that is on another side. I mean, that is on this side, and obviously the bond enthalpy supplied for chlorine, half the bond enthalpy, and what else? What else energy is supplied? Anything else is supplied? Okay, that's it, right? Okay, now that should be equal to all the energy released, right? There are only two energies released. One is the electron gain enthalpy, EGE, and what is the other one?
Lattice enthalpy.
Lattice enthalpy.
The other one is the lattice enthalpy. Very good, right? So people, if I know all the values, actually I know all the values. Like there is something called as a chemistry table. Okay, for all elements, right? All these enthalpy values, I mean, except for lattice enthalpy, obviously. So ionization enthalpy can be found from the charts. Bond enthalpy can be found from the charts. Electron gain enthalpy is already found out. Enthalpy of sublimation is also already found out, right? So from this equation, lattice enthalpy can be easily found out, right? So through Born-Haber cycle, this is how you will be able to find what is the value of the lattice enthalpy. Obviously, if you want to find the lattice enthalpy, bring this electron get enthalpy this side, and you can find the lattice enthalpy. Okay, so they might give you problems also. They might give you the enthalpy of sublimation value, ionization energy value, bond enthalpy value, but you have to be very careful that you have to take only the half the value of bond enthalpy. And electron gain enthalpy of chlorine can be given to you, and they might ask you to find the lattice enthalpy. This is how you find the lattice enthalpy. Okay, what did you do? You did all the process required for me to make the crystal, right? And then you for each and every step you also associated the required type of enthalpy, right? And then you decided which type of enthalpies are supplied and which type of enthalpies are released, and and you can just going for the conservation of energy principle. So all the energy supplied should be equal to the energy released. So you are going to put all the energy supplied in one side, right? And all the energy released on the other side, right? And obviously all the other values are known except for the lattice enthalpy. So lattice enthalpy can be found out. Okay, right? So this is how we find the lattice enthalpy. What is the time? Okay, right? So I'll give you a homework, right? What you're going to do is you are going to do the same thing for MgCl2, right? You are going to draw the Born-Haber cycle for MgCl2, and I'll ask you to show it. I'll ask you to open your cameras, right? And I'll ask you to show it. Okay, and anyways, I will also do it. Maybe or my like you might do it correct or you might not do it correct, but doesn't matter. But please try. Okay. Like for MgCl2, we'll see it tomorrow. How are you going to do it? Okay, so enthalpy of solution is done almost. It's actually done. Lattice enthalpy. We decided how we found out how do we determine the lattice enthalpy, and we found out how do we get your hydration enthalpy also. So the enthalpy solution is going to be a sum of lattice enthalpy and hydration energy. Is that okay? So fine, people, we'll stop with this for today, right? So I think we're going to meet on Monday, right? So when you come back, please come back with your MgCl2's Born-Haber cycle, right? Fine. Thank you so much. We'll meet again.
Doubts, sir.
Yeah, tell me, Kanna.
It would have the same process, no, sir, for MgCl2.
Yes, it will have the same process. Actually, guys, can you spare 5 more minutes? We'll complete MgCl2. Is that okay?
Sir, what about homework, sir?
It's okay. You don't have to do the homework. Which is better, 5 minutes here or doing the homework is better? You tell me.
Whichever is fine, sir.
Okay, so I'll just take 5 minutes, like less than 5 minutes. I'll complete it very, very quickly. We'll just complete our MgCl2 actually. Okay. Right. Don't scold Rohan, right? Just because he asked. Right. Okay. Just give me 5 more minutes. I'll not take much of your time, people. Right. So again, Mg is going to be in solid state. Correct, right? So obviously I have to convert it into Mg in gaseous form so that I can form the ion, right? So here I'm going to have enthalpy of sublimation to be supplied, and I already know that. Okay, now I have to form Mg2 plus, is it not? Right, I have to form Mg2 plus, right? But you cannot form directly Mg2 plus. First, you have to form Mg plus, and then you have to form Mg2 plus. You cannot form directly Mg2 plus. First, one electron has to be removed, then the next electron has to be removed. So what is the enthalpy?
Ionization enthalpy, sir.
Exactly. What?
2 ionization enthalpies will be there.
Exactly. If I have 2 ionization enthalpy, what is it called as here? What will I call it here? What will I call it?
First ionization enthalpy.
Exactly, right? This is my first ionization energy or first ionization enthalpy, and obviously second one is going to be my second ionization enthalpy. Okay, now this is done. Obviously, this is in gaseous phase. Mg is done, right? This is the difference, people. Between last time and between NaCl and this one, Na just has to form Na plus, but Mg has to form Mg2 plus. Okay. So obviously I have to supply the first ionization energy so that Mg plus is formed, and then the second ionization energy so that Mg2 plus is formed. Is that cool? Right. Okay. Now going back to Cl, chlorine again is going to be little different here. Now I need, so you can understand at the last, I require 2 Cl minus. So that means the chlorine, obviously there are 2 chlorine atoms, that both the chlorine atoms are going to form 2 Cl minus. So what should I supply here?
Only B, sir.
Exactly. The whole bond enthalpy has to be supplied. Last time we supplied only half the bond enthalpy because I required only 1 chlorine atom. But this time I require both the chlorine atoms so that it is going to form 2 Cl minus. Okay. Now this entirely now is going to form 2 Cl minus. Okay. Now tell me, what is the enthalpy which I have to supply here?
Electron gain enthalpy.
That's it. Electron gain enthalpy. How did you define electron gain enthalpy? For 1 mole of Cl to convert to Cl minus, it is electron gain enthalpy. How many I have here?
2 electron gain enthalpy.
Right. So it is going to be 2 into the electron gain enthalpy. Right. So these are the minute differences you have to take care, people, whenever you go for MgCl2. The first difference is about the first and the second ionization enthalpy. And the second difference is you have to supply the entire bond enthalpy so that you have the 2 chlorine atoms. And lastly, you are going to have 2 Cl minus from 2 chlorine atoms. So it is not just electron gain enthalpy. It is going to be 2 into electron gain enthalpy. Okay. Right. Fine. Now, obviously, I have the Mg2 plus and the Cl minus, 2Cl minus. They are going to form MgCl2, the crystal solid, right? And obviously, the energy supplied is going to be my lattice energy. And again, what you have to do, you have to make sure that all the energy supplied is in one side, all the energy released in another side, and that's it, right? You will be able to find what is my lattice enthalpy, right? I will give you one more homework since you are so interested in your homeworks. What happened, right? You are going to do the Born-Haber cycle for Al2O3. Okay, you are going to do the homework for aluminum oxide. The Born-Haber cycle for aluminum oxide you are going to do. Is that cool? It's very complicated because you are seeing there are 2 aluminum ions, three oxygen atoms, lot of stuffs are going to be there. So obviously there is going to be some lot of numbers coming. So be very careful, people. Okay, so hope everybody understood. Rohan, I answered your question. What will be the difference? It is not exactly going to be same. There are a lot of differences here between NaCl and MgCl2. Yes?
Yes, understood, sir.
Okay, cool, people. Thanks for sparing your time. I'm really sorry for taking extra 5 minutes, but still you can go take rest and then we'll see you on Monday. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Yes.